Here we are. Welcome back, because I feel welcome back. Today I actually have my voice back, so I'm glad to be back. Here we are on this beautiful Monday, Marriage Monday. This was like I like to call all Mondays, Marriage Monday. Gotta forgive me if I struggle a little bit with my voice. Just getting it back since Friday. It's been hell not having my voice. But not for all people. Some people prefer. Alright. Today, we're talking about something called surrogates, as in surrogate mother. And this is an interesting conversation because it comes up many times. And the first time I actually started hearing about this is when I would see a lot of African movies back in the day. And even recently, we've been watching a few movies that dealt with the situation. One movie, but this one was a while ago, it was called Anchor Baby. And that movie starred Genevieve, I forget her last name or whole name, Genevieve, the famous one from Nigeria, who came over here to America as a surrogate host or whatever. So that was a very interesting movie, to say the least. Gotta watch it. I believe we've seen it on Netflix, if I'm not mistaken. But you could Google that. It's called Anchor Baby. And there was a recent movie that we just seen, I believe, last week. I don't know the title of it. This one was actually on BET Plus that we seen. BET Plus is absolute garbage. The only reason I watch it is for the Tyler Perry, Ruthless, which is the only show that I watch from him, period. And I've only been interested in that show because it has so much truth to it. Because I was, growing up, even now, but more so, in previous years, I always like reading up on these type of things because I came through a family that is in one. But neither here nor there. On BET Plus, I don't remember the name of the movie, but I do remember that when we seen the movie, I pointed out, I said, oh, that's the guy that we seen in the movie or the series out of South Africa, called Kings of Johannesburg or Kings of Joburg or whatever it is. And I found out his name was Jamal Bryant. And he starred in this BET movie that we seen last week, and it dealt with surrogacy. And I guess because of the movies that I see so many on, it's an interesting topic, an interesting subject, to say the least. I've always wanted to know how the opinions differ from men to women. And the reason why I ask this is because in these days, like the traditional days, surrogacy is done a lot of times by what they call insemination. And as I'm reading here on Google, I look up the term. It says there are two types of surrogate motherhood. Let me skip down here. One is a traditional. What is the other one called? Did I cut that off already? And these are the terminologies that they give. Okay, here it is. So there are two types of surrogacy. One is traditional. The other is, if I'm pronouncing it right, gestational. Because it can't be guess because there's no use. So gestational. So traditional or gestational are the two types of surrogate motherhood. And it says altruistic and an independent surrogacy arrangements can fall under either type and have their own pros and cons. To what? So we could get into the pros and cons, and I guess that's what this is about. But me, myself, I have my own viewpoint on this. But learning what I just learned now online, as I was going through this before we just started, I'm learning things that I didn't know that takes away from my point of view. So I can understand either parties being on either side. Now, it says that it asks the questions, do surrogate mothers have baby DNA? And it says this is a fairly common question, and the answer is no. In a compensated surrogacy arrangement with a gestational carrier, the baby's DNA comes from the intended mother's egg or from an egg donor and from the intended father's sperm or from a sperm donor. So there are many types that you could get into when it comes to surrogacy. When you're dealing with insemination, it varies, as it says. It could be the egg from the mother, the intended mother, or another mother, and the sperm from a father, or just a general sperm donor. So when you're dealing with insemination, you have very variables, and that's a gestational. Like I said, if I'm pronouncing it wrong, forgive me. But the traditional, as we know, is the one where the man traditionally sleeps with the woman, gets her pregnant, gives birth, and then the mother or the birth mother hands it over to the father and the intended mother. That's the traditional one. Now, with this, the baby would have the mother's DNA. I don't even know how that really works, because from what I understand that the babies carry the father's DNA, but it has to be some of the mother's DNA, of course. So that's something that I got to read up on more and look into more. Because I actually got my first so-called understanding of that by watching a Facebook meme like 10 years ago. This goes to show, please don't learn anything from Facebook, people. Do not learn anything from Facebook. If you find something interesting, go research it and learn it for yourself. So this is where I'm at with this conversation when it comes to surrogacy. Because nowadays, as we just learned, nowadays, it's not so much the traditional way that is happening, but it's through the modern day way. And with this, there's a lot of problems that come in, just like in a traditional sense. Each movie that we sing, for the most part, the birth mother somehow get attached to the father. And this is even with both types of surrogacy. Now, my point that I want to get to, I want to see where the women stand on this, and I want to see where the men stand on this. This is my issue. My issue is that ever come into this situation, God forbid, I don't think as a man I can allow myself to birth a child of mine that I desire to have and then have to turn around and tell him he was made in a laboratory, or how my brothers and sisters say on the continent of Africa and the UK, laboratory or laboratory, however it is. Here we say laboratory. It's not even spelled that way. That's just the way we pronounce it here in America. So that would be my biggest issue, that as a man, I would not have to raise my child in a sense and let them know at some point that they were created in a laboratory. Because that's essentially what it is. You're using science to do surgeries, because it's all within, that realm of surgeries, to create a pregnancy in someone that I have not conceived a child with. And it doesn't sit right with me as a human being, as a man, as a father. It's just not something that sits right with me. Now, I can understand it coming from a woman's point of view, where she doesn't want the man particularly gaining feelings for the person that he may lay with in order to have a baby. One thing, we discussed this before. If sex meant more to men than just that, the enjoyment and the conquering factor, men wouldn't be out buying prostitutes on a daily basis. Every man over the age of 18 had a prostitute, more than likely. Every straight man. Men who buy prostitutes enjoy one thing, the act of sex. After that, they carry on and go their way. That right there proves that point in particular. Because in the general public eye, you do not see women going out seeking prostitutes at night. You see that with men. And when it comes to prostitution and human trafficking and all that, it's usually driven by women. Ladies, young girls, however you want to say it. Men do not equate sex with anything else but that for the most part. But I get the woman's point of view. I get it. I understand it. We live in a society that has changed the things of many traditions that was handed down to us, and we became westernized. I always like to go back to Abraham and Sarah, and with his concubine, what was her name? Let me look it up. Let me just speak it. Is it working? Hello? Oh, shoot. It's been turned off. I don't know how it did that, but let me type it now. That's a lot of typing. All right. Let's see if they... Okay, Hagar. I don't know how I forgot that, but Hagar. And we learned from... Now, mind you, Abraham ain't the first one, and he certainly wasn't the last one. But that story gives us an idea how situations can arise. It got so bad that he had to send her away because Sarah was complaining so much. And it's similar to the movies that we watch. The surrogate mother becomes a headache for the family, the intended family. A lot of times people pay like $5,000 to $10,000 on average to have someone be a surrogate mother. And even then, they turn around and have or feel a connection with that child, sometimes even the father of the child, even when there was no physicality ever happened between the two. There was no physical action between the two. We got to understand that these things are a spiritual thing. We are spirits in flesh, in fleshly bodies. That's what makes up the human soul. So, unlike animals, everything with us is not just based off instincts. We're connected. Just like when mankind was created, God breathed the breath of life into them. So every human being from that point on has a connection to God. Regardless of their faith, belief, whatever, they have a particular connection with God. And the closer we are in relation to our blood, we have a particular connection with each other. So it's not really something to be surprised about that would happen when a surrogate mother turn around and start to have that attachment to her child. And that's why we see that right when they give birth, the nurses automatically take the baby from the surrogate mother in order to keep that bond from happening. Because it's a real thing. It's a real thing. And why do you think it is when a child could be in their 20s, be at the age of 25 years old, and told after 25 years of believing this is mom, this is dad, only to be told one day, hey, this is not your real father, or hey, this is not your real mother. What happens? That person begins to yield, have a yielding in their spirit, a wanting in their spirit rather, a desire in their spirit to want to know or see who their biological father or mother is, even though they went to 25 years of their life not even knowing the situation. It's more than physical. These things are spiritual. So it's no wonder. So to go and get a surrogate mother is a tricky scenario in life. And I say this because anybody could wind up in it. You could be a couple married 10, 20, 30 years, and maybe due to the life or the world that we live in, people don't necessarily die before their children. So there could be a freak accident or something that happens where two parents who are married lose their child in a way that had no control over, and they desire to raise another child, but at their age they're not able to. What happens? Go get a surrogate. Me, I would say adopt, but people want their DNA and what they raise. I agree. I understand that. Either way is okay with me. Either way is okay. Personally, I don't want to raise any child that is not my own DNA. Now, there's exceptions to every rule, and I will say that. There's exceptions to every rule depending on just the situation, the person, whatever. But I'm just saying in general. In general, that's not what a man seeks to do. But like I said, there's exceptions with everything in life. So, with that, how do you feel when it comes to surrogacy? Do you feel that the man, this is the question of the day, should the man have the option to do a traditional, or as it's listed here, called gestational or gestational surrogacy, meaning some type of insemination, whether it's with the woman's egg or someone else's egg or what have you. Who do you think should determine that? And is there a stipulation whether it's the man who determines, or is there a stipulation where if the woman determines it? Who determines that factor? Because at the end of the day, the woman is not given pregnancy. She's not going through the birth pains of pregnancy. So her body is not going through the trauma that it takes to give birth. The man, regardless of which way you choose, the old way or the new way, he's likely to be the sperm donor, one way or the other. The baby is going to carry his DNA, his blood, and be of him. But depending on which way you go, that baby will also have the DNA of the surrogate mother or the wife, depending on if she's able to use her eggs. And I just want to know, what do you guys think? Who should have the say in this when it comes to surrogacy? Because this is an interesting conversation. You got to admit, it's an interesting conversation, and I don't think that a lot of people have this conversation, because a lot of times these things don't come up until there's a need for them. And these are the conversations that I think that all couples should have going into marriage. Hey, let's sit down and discuss this, because 10 years, 20 years from now, things might not look like they do today. So if this were to happen, how would we go about it? It makes it a lot easier. And people change their minds, say, oh, well, that was then, this is now. No, you made a commitment, just like you made a commitment in this marriage, and to abide by, how we went into this marriage. You're bonded by those. You're bonded by whatever it is that you agree on, no matter if you feel different today, tomorrow, or next week. Your emotions and your feelings no longer matter. It matters on the bond that y'all have. It's a type of bondage. You're bonded to that. Whatever your words were, what your agreements were then, you're bonded by that agreement. And that's why I think that not just this, but a lot of conversations are needed before people go and get into marriage. Because a lot of times people get in and marry over emotional feelings, this, that, and the other. Oh, I love this person. Let's get married, have a couple kids, and have a beautiful life. Life never winds up that way. Life is a struggle individually and as a family. Life is hard. There's joy and there's pain. That's life. But the more we can understand each other, the smoother the ride to the end of the line can be. So if you guys find it interesting, I'd like to hear your thoughts. So like I said, take a minute break, Leave you guys here and send your request in. I'm making me a nice rack of ribs about this big tonight. Barbecue at that. All right. Let's see. Are we gonna have the wifey join first? It's no sweat to me. Let's have it.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hello, 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 hello. All right. Let's get right into it. Let's waste no time at all. Because I
Yeah.
got some ribs waiting for me. All right. With today's conversation, you being a woman, you being married to a beautiful, handsome, smart, intelligent, God-fearing, strong-willed man. Yes, and your husband is great. He's damn near perfect. But tell him I say congratulations on just being him. So, with that said, what is your thoughts as I'm here discussing the subject of surrogacy?
Yeah, I don't have much to say, but first of all, just like you used Abraham and Sarah as an example, whenever we do things contradicting to what God says, we always see bad things happening. Like, we never get to see the good side that God has promised when you do things opposite what He says. So, surrogacy is not all that good, but at least it is helping some families. It is helping people to have happiness in their home. It is helping women that are not able to carry their own child to at least feel the joy of having children, even though they are not going to carry. We have two types. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but I only know of two types here. We have the one
Yeah.
that the egg will be taken from the woman's womb, and then the guy's sperm mixed together in another woman's womb. Before, we have the one that the lady is like, her fertility is not capable at all. She can't fertile any eggs. She doesn't have any womb. She doesn't have eggs at all. Like, her womb is mainly from those numerous abortions. If you have those kind of a lot of abortions, and some is hereditary. They can carry their babies, but they always have stillbirths. They can't carry a full term. So when you see the kind of problems it causes our homes, and then the pain of seeing other people's kids and you're not able to have it and all that, no woman will accept another woman carrying her child for her. You see how it brings a whole lot of problem. The man eventually falls for the one carrying the baby, touching her stomach, and yeah.
You're going off the movie we just watched that I was just talking about, but that necessarily doesn't happen all the time. We see it in movies. So this is what I don't want all the movies that we've been watching, because they all have the same end type thing.
No,
which is not.
Listen, it does happen in real life. It does happen.
I understand that, but I'm saying that's not that's not. I will say that's not the general ending meaning.
Let me finish.
All right, go ahead.
Especially when the guy has a lot of money, or he's good looking, he's young, and the other girl just wanna, because sometimes especially with the second one, that the woman has to use her own egg, her own womb, carrying all that, then the baby literally becomes hers, like it's part of her. But if she has to take the egg from another lady, you're not gonna have much problems with that. And also, if everything you do concerning this situation, like this ceremony, is organized, you got it from a facility like institutionalized, these kind of people who do those kind of styles. So it's like a contract that is a little bit less risky than you going on your own to find the person and to do all that for you. So it's just a modernized way, just upgrading of fertility issues, just to be able to enable other women to have kids of their own. But it's no woman's wish for another woman to carry her child for her. It's just the inability.
But that's what we're dealing with. If we're dealing with people specifically do go and do that. You said that there will be less attachment when it's the woman's egg. In many situations, especially women over 40, their eggs are completely gone, so they can't do anything. But let's keep it here first. What you're saying, that the woman is using her own egg. That surrogate is still going through the 9 months that it takes to go through all the trauma, the psychological situations and all that goes along with pregnancy. There's still going to be attachment, but because egg aside, she's still going through carrying that child in her for 9 whole months. And then to the point that she pushes out her own womb. That, regardless of how you go about it, that still is a connection. You can't carry a child inside of you and have no connection to it, right, unless you're just kind of a psychopathic narcissist.
Right.
Other than that, and wait. The second thing, you said this is the modern day way of doing it, just for people with problems with fertility. Now, that's from your end. Why? One thing I do notice, if just like I'm talking to you, I could talk to any girl who come on here. You all will speak from your own side of things, but I never hear ladies speak from the man's side of things, how he feel about his child being born that way. Like, most men would prefer, and I know this is going to seem like I'm trying to be there for all the men, which I am, because I'm a man and I understand how men think. most men, if they're going to have a surrogate mother, they would prefer that they do it traditionally by laying with the mother. No man wants to have a baby and grow up and say, yes, my son is a test tube baby. My son was born in a laboratory, conceived in a laboratory. That is nothing that any man with any real sense ever want to have to say or admit.
Listen, what you saying, any man who prefers this option that you're saying right now is a I don't want to say the word. He's an asshole. Is a man who really want to sleep with a woman. Okay, if no, it's only that kind of person, a man who cannot zip up and he has that opportunity. Oh, he will grab it with his mouth, his hands, his legs, and every part of him. But a real man, a man with integrity, a man who values his wife, respects his wife, because first of all, this is so hard for your wife. And secondly, you should be able to understand your wife and then trying to do it in a way that will bring her a little bit of respect. You don't go sleeping with her.
That is her feeling respected versus what my child got to live the rest of his or her life as.
It is not a laboratory. It's not, you don't have to call it like that. It's just a
But it is that.
They just collected his sperm. It's just the same on your wife.
It's conception through a laboratory. No matter how you want to mix it, you're conceiving a child through a laboratory.
But it's your sperm. Your sperm
doesn't matter.
Yeah, so that is the basic part of it. Your sperm is all that is needed. That is why they have to make it this way, that you don't have to live with the woman, because your wife won't, she can't get out of it. It's so hurtful, it's so painful. It's like fry pan to fire. She's already going through the pain of not being able to carry your child for you. And now you're going to the extent of sleeping, like being so intimate. You don't just go and lay on the wife, on the girl, put your dick or penis in the woman and ejaculate. You have to romance.
Hey, watch your mouth on my show now. Watch your mouth on my show.
Okay, I'm sorry, but I want you to understand. Okay, he doesn't have to sleep with her. He doesn't go like that. He doesn't bring respect and honor to your wife. You have to consider the situation, what she's going through. Except the lady or your wife doesn't want. She just doesn't want to carry a child. She just doesn't want to go through that pain. But
then no real man should be married to somebody like that in the first place. Then that's whatever happens, that's on them. I'm not speaking for men like that, because most men won't tolerate marrying somebody like that. Look, just like somebody said, I don't know how this is true, that if he gets laid with it, then it's not a surrogate. Yes, it is a surrogate. Surrogate. Remember the Nigerian movie we seen like years ago when we was back in Ghana, and the guy, they was in a bedroom and his wife brought her friend in and surprised him and gonna leave the room for them too. And we're like, yo, what the, like, how's she just gonna keep pulling him off guard? You remember that movie, right? It was a Nigerian movie.
Yep.
And even back then, you were like, yes, these things happen. These things happen still in Africa like that. Happen here in the U.S., happen all over the world like that. But that was just an awkward thing to do. But even him, by the wife's idea, sleeping with the best friend, left him alone in the room, hey, go make me a baby. That was still considered a surrogacy, because she was having a baby to immediately turn it over to her friend so that she could raise it as her own. So even if the man lays with the lady, it's considered a surrogacy.
If that was the agreement, if that is the agreement.
That's what surrogacy is. It's an agreement to birth someone else's child. Only this new modern insemination way is recent. So that was never an option before recently.
Exactly.
So you can't change the definitions.
Technology is just improving technology. That is why they upgraded it. If the guy has to sleep with a lady,
so it's all about the woman, and it's forget the feelings of the man, forget the feelings of the child. How do you think a child would feel knowing that you had to go create him in a laboratory by mixing sperm and eggs and all that, and taking tubes and inseminate and doing all? How would you think that child would feel? Me, if I learned that I was born that way, I would have a serious problem with that. I'm being honest.
You,
The way that I am, I would have a serious problem with that.
first of all, why would you tell your child he or she was born out of surrogacy?
Oh, so
And
you won't, you won't tell them that because you know there's something wrong with that.
and
If there
second,
was nothing wrong with that, why would you hide that from them? Because you just let our viewers to believe that there's nothing wrong with that. If there's nothing wrong with that, why would you want to hide it from them?
listen, there is nothing wrong with that if the woman doesn't have the capability of going through that pain, that process of giving birth. There is nothing wrong with that. Just to give
So
you,
you would have no problem telling your child. You would have no problem telling your child that.
you don't have to tell your child that. And even
Right?
if you, your child don't have the right to judge you out of it because you're trying to give him life. You're trying to bring him to the earth. So you are
In a selfish manner, in a very selfish manner. So yes, your child do has a say of how you bring them into this world. If you want to, just like if somebody went out prostituting and got pregnant by prostituting, and you say, hey, you was born into this world because I don't know your father, I was prostituting. I hope that's okay with you, son or daughter. You think they'll be okay with that?
You have no right. That was her decision. We decide to bring kids on this earth.
Selfishness.
Because I'm not able to give you a child, and I decided that let someone
you're determined to bring your child into this world in a way that has a negative view, what's the word? Notion. I can't even think of the word. But on top of that, you don't take into consideration the way the man himself will look at it. I heard you say nothing about the man. It's all about you.
you. Let me tell you this. I don't know why whenever there's fertility issue in a marriage or in a relationship, they always push the blame on the woman. It's
not about blame. It's about that the problem exists with the lady, so that's where the problem exists. It's not about blame. It's about fact.
You know, some men are...
Why do facts have to be blamed? Why can't it just be factual? Because it's an actual fact.
Okay, let me ask you this. Here in a situation, couples are... A man and a man are married as couples, right? And the woman is not able to give the guy a child. What you supposed to do? What are you gonna...
I feel that it's the man who determines which way it will be done. That's how I believe.
Okay, so that the man can go and sleep with another woman and have a child out of it.
If he chooses that, and this is where I'm going to bring my child into this world, and you can't give me one, so this is what I decided to do to bring us a child. Yes, it's totally up to him. It's not up to the lady.
No. Listen, that child is coming into your relationship. It's coming into your home, which both of you are going to take care of. You don't have that final decision. You don't just decide that, oh, I want to have a child out of this woman. I just want to go here, have a child. So be ready whenever the child is in. The woman is going to partake in all the process, taking care of this child, cooking, cleaning, and all that. So you don't just say, then there is no marriage. Then you should just be on your own. You don't have to marry.
Well, I totally disagree, because if it was that, the woman is at fault for not being able to give birth, and her not giving birth, she's not going to be doing the 9 months thing. And the baby's not taking her last name. So, yes, all this needs to be determined by the father. Okay. The father is going to raise that child to carry on his legacy, not the woman. That child is not carrying on any legacy from the woman, regardless. No, listen. That child, by no way possible, is carrying on your legacy. It's only going to carry on the legacy of the father. So, yes, the father has the rights to judge and determine which way that child is going to come into the world.
In my view, the guy has the only right to decide that only when the woman decided not to give birth. If that is the situation, then fine. If the lady decided, I'm able, I'm fully capable to be able to give you a child. My womb is clear. I'm fertile. My eggs are all good, but I just don't want to give birth. and you, the man, want to decide all that, that's fine. But in a situation where
I don't see how that would change it. That don't even make sense. I don't see how that would change it. Whether she could give birth and don't want to, or she just can't. I don't see how that changes it. You're making a situational when it's not. Because it's even worse. Like you said, you're trying to say, yes, if she could give birth and don't want to, she want to be selfish, go ahead and go get someone else and have a baby with that. That's no different. Because I don't see how you're making it situational. You're saying that if she's way selfish, go and do it. But if she's halfway selfish, don't go and do it.
No, which one is halfway selfish? Like she's not able to give you a child?
Just so, the way you're describing it.
Yeah, if she's not able, I'm trying to tell you, some ladies really want to have children of their own. They want to go through that process. They're throwing up, the late night, the back pain and all that. They want to feel it. But in a process, this is a situation where they are not able, like their fertility issue is very down. They can't be able to bear children. That is a different thing altogether. But the process where she decided not to have children on her own, like she just decided while you be married, that's selfish. Way, way, way selfish. So if the guy decides to do it on his own, that's fine. But
like I said, it's not selfish. It's not selfish bringing a child into a world in a way that you say is okay, but yet you don't think the child should ever be told that. So that don't even make sense. The two and two don't go together. You can't say that it's okay, but it's something you will hide for your child. If you determine to hide something from somebody their entire life, that means because it's not okay, and you know it's not okay.
Because it depends on the process. You don't have to define all that to your child. Oh, baby, hey kid, I'm not able to medically be able to carry you, so I had someone carry you. There's nothing wrong with that. This is just technology. It's not a different child. Your own egg and your husband's sperm mixed together is the same.
First of all, in most circumstances, it's not your own egg. And that's why a lot of people need surrogacy. In most cases, it's not your own egg. Do you know that?
If it is not your own egg, then that means you're totally not able to carry a child.
It's all under the term or the title surrogate. Doesn't matter how it gets there. It's being a surrogate. But what I'm saying is that a man chooses how to bring that surrogate child or that child through that surrogate mother into this world, not the woman. The woman is not yet. The woman's legacy is not being carried on by that child. The woman is not going through the 9 months of birth. The woman's not donating the sperm. She's not doing none of that. So she really doesn't have much of anything to do with it, if you really want to be honest. I'm not trying to go there, but in reality, the woman has next to nothing to do with the pregnancy from start to finish.
You know, the way you sound, that is the reason why most women have to get a surrogacy in the first place. Because medically, if they are not able to carry their child and their husband is giving them a whole lot of headache, being their frustration and all that, they just decided, okay, let's just do the surrogacy. And I think that is better.
You can't put it on, man. You can't put it on, man. Because a lot of times, men don't even want to go that route. It's the women who try to pressure them into going that route because they want a baby so damn bad. So no, don't just try to throw it on, man, like that.
You just said that a man wants someone to leave his legacy when he's gone. Men want children too. They're going to be giving the fake facial expression like, oh, it's okay, baby. Let's just wait for God's time and all that. But deep down within them, they're going to discuss that with their friends. You know, up to now when we don't have a child, he'll be just saying a whole lot of things behind your back.
But yeah, you said that he would treat the woman right and tell her it's okay, don't worry about it, wait on God. And now you're blaming him for doing that. So either way, you're blaming the man. You blame him if he puts pressure. You blame him if he don't.
If you tell
either way, you're blaming him.
If you tell your wife,
when it's you who can't give birth.
If you tell your wife, baby, it's okay, everything will be fine, and you shut your mouth, you give her the time for God's time to be able to give you children, and not going behind her back talking to her friends and families and other people. Oh, I'm
Forget
not.
about the friends and family thing. This is between husband and wife. What happens when 10, 20 years pass by and there's still a no-go? What happens then?
But first of all, God is the one who is in charge of that. But men always give the pressure on women like they are supposed to go to heaven and drag keys from heaven and give them to their husband. It doesn't work like that. Even when they have
It works like this. It works like this. We live in a world where some women are barren who can't give birth. We live in that particular type world.
and
That got nothing to do with God. It got everything to do with the fact that mankind is fallen and we all imperfect in this day and age. So yes, there are women who are barren, and there are situations where men marry these women not knowing, and sometimes the women don't know. Sometimes she do know, but that's a whole nother subject.
yeah.
The point is, when it comes to this, that, hey, you can't give birth. We've been to the doctors over and over. It is what it is. It's confirmed. You can't give birth. You still want to have a child. I want to have a child to pass my legacy down to. It's time for me to decide. It's time for me to...
If God bless this man with a female child, they still go ahead pressuring the woman. I don't know why, but if all women will be the same, like a real woman will not even allow that frustration on her. It's like, I can't give you a male child, take it like that. I can't give you a female child, deal with it like that. I'm not in charge of it. You don't pressure me, you don't frustrate me in any way. That's how it should work. But men, no matter what they have, they don't appreciate it. It is what it is.
They don't appreciate what? They don't appreciate that their wife can't give birth to no children?
Men don't even know what they when they have male
That's
children.
what you said men don't appreciate that some women can't give birth to children. Why should, explain that to me. Why should men appreciate the fact that the woman can't get pregnant?
Well, if she's medically not able, I don't think she should force herself. She should risk her life because
That's not what you said. You said men don't appreciate it.
Yeah, I said they don't appreciate the gender. Like when God gives them female children, they still want male children. Like you said right now, they want male children.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about children in general. We can have that discussion tomorrow. We get into what if a man has a son or wants a son. We get into that tomorrow. But you can't even stick with the subject of just children and period. Because that's where this conversation is. Children, period.
Children comes from God. First of all, we just want more.
Barrenness comes from God also. That's why people go and get a surrogate mother. Stay on the topic, please.
Yes, if that is the way to make a child, I don't think there's a problem with that. Eggs, God created them within us. Again,
the conversation is this. Who determines how the surrogacy will work? The man or the woman?
Both have to agree on that. They have to be on the page of that kind of book of surrogacy.
I disagree. I disagree wholly. I think it's only up to the man and all up to him. If she don't like it, she could go kick rocks and find someone else who will take her barren ass.
You don't talk like that. You don't talk like that.
I'm just saying. Let her go find another husband who's going to take her ass who can't give no kids. If we want to be like that, let's see how far she'll go. Let's see how far she'll get.
If you say barren, that means she's not medically not able. Like she can't be able to give you a child.
That's what the conversation is about. Let's admit, if a man is telling her, hey, you can't give me kids, so we're going to do it my way. I'm going to give her pregnant. She's going to give us a baby. We're going to raise it as our own. If she say no, he tell her to kick rocks. What options do she have? She think that another man is out there seeking a woman who is barren and can't give kids? They are not high up on the market. I'm being honest. Women who cannot give kids are not high sort of in the market today. Have never been. They're at the lowest place on the market, not the highest. So what options do you have? None. Let's agree. Let's agree with let's look at the facts and agree with the truth. There are no options.
Barren, you said barren. So it defines the word she's not capable. That's it. She can't give you child. You don't have any right to just decide, oh, I want this woman to give me, another woman to give me a child. You have no say about it because I'm the man. It doesn't work like that. If it is marriage,
actually, it does work like that. It worked like that since the beginning of time.
If it is
since the beginning of time, it's worked that way.
The understanding. This is marriage. It's not slavery. It's not slavery and mastership. It doesn't work like that. You have to agree on it.
Slavery is me forcing you to stay. That's slavery. Slavery is not me telling you to go kick rocks if you don't want to agree with it and go find another. That is not slavery. There's no bonding.
Okay, if I get you, well, you know what? If you are in that kind of situation and the woman is not medically able to give the guy a child and he decides to do it that way, I think the best option for the lady, she should see her value. You can have kids, and so what? God is the giver.
Yes, she can't have kids, so her value is extremely low.
You don't determine that. God has the final say.
The world determines that.
No,
the world determines that.
God gives kids.
Mankind determines that.
If she is barren and she couldn't bear kids, and God says she's going to marry, God is going to definitely give us.
Let's look at the reality. Let's stay in reality. Let's stay on planet Earth. Let's remain on planet Earth right now. Do men out in the world, established men, do they find barren women of being high value? Yes or no? According to the world. According to the world.
I understand your point, okay?
So answer the question. According to the world.
Listen, let me talk.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes what? Yes, they do find them high value? So you're saying that established men in the world who want to build families and structure and foundations, builders, find women who are barren, who can't give them children and carry down legacies, find them to be high value. That's what you're telling me here right now.
You're always talking about.
You see? This is why women should never listen to other women. Even when they marry.
Legacy.
There are many subjects where women should never listen to other women. You, my dear, would turn around and pass this down to another lady, another female, and screw her whole thing up. Because a man is going to turn around and walk away from this nonsense because she learned it from you thinking that it was right or correct. Oh, know your value. Don't let them tell you this. Know your value. No, your value is extremely low. The fact that you got a husband who's established and willing to stay there with you and raise a kid with you and be with you for the rest of your life should be something that you should be dropping to your knees and thanking God for.
If that man values, I understand what you're saying, okay? But what I'm saying is that if that man understands you, if that man values you and respects you and loves you as his wife, as the way it should be, he will consider your feelings. He will talk to you about it. He don't just go out of his way and do what he pleases because he wants a child. That's what I'm talking about.
He will also think about his own feelings, and he will also think about the legacy of his own child coming into this world. So yes, you got 2 against 1. You got 2 feelings against 1. So what normally wins out? Is 2 greater than 1?
So
2 normally conquer 1. 2 is normally greater than 1.
You're trying to say you having your child is more important than your wife?
Me having my child the traditional way and how I feel about him or her coming into this world, yes, it outweighs the wife feelings and emotion because you're dealing with 2 human beings, emotions and respect versus 1. So it's just like anything else. Would you if it was 100 people all about to die, you can either save 99 or you can save 1. You're gonna go save the 99 over the 1. Because 99 is greater than 1. Just like 2 is greater than 1. You go what matters the most. You go what makes sense. If you could save 2 lives or you could save 1, what would you choose? I'm gonna save 2 lives. If I have the option of just choosing between 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's why you have to go for a man who is God-fearing, a man who is...
I'm God-fearing, and I'm saying that way.
No, if you are God-fearing enough, you won't just go out of your way and have kids.
So then you're saying you're making a mark against all people of olden times who were prophets, who were leaders, who were vivid followers of God, greater relationships than we'll ever know, who had many concubines who bore them many babies and daughters and sons, even when their wives couldn't. So you're making that statement that
that's why there is Old Testament and there is New Testament. That's why
things ain't stopping. Things ain't stopping the New Testament, and things ain't stopped after the New Testament was written. That's where y'all get things confused. I don't know why y'all think like that. Things continue to be this way. We're living in the modern era where things have just recently changed through the westernization of. Oh my goodness! Because you're all listen. Our hour is up. Our hour is up. We could continue this tomorrow. Our hour is up, and we can get into the next aspect with the son if I'm on tomorrow. So our hour is up. So we want to continue this tomorrow. Hey, we can do that.
Oh, okay.
All right. All right. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I hope y'all enjoyed the show. This is what we do. We want to really get into talking about real serious relationship matters. Because these things do matter. Like I said, whenever we're on at 7 p.m., 7:05, whatever. So, with life, everything that it has, with me, man, I got a million things that I deal with in life, but it is what it is. But I'm blessed to be here.